Let's continue from where we left off last time. Let's update the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. Our preference for instant gratification reveals an important truth about success. Because of how we are wired, most people will spend all day chasing quick hits of satisfaction. The road less traveled is the road of delayed gratification. If you are willing to wait for the rewards, you will face less competition and often a greater payoff. As the saying goes, the last mile is always the least crowded. This is precisely what research has this is precisely what research has this is precisely what research has shown. People who are better at delaying gratification have higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, lower likelihood of obesity, better responses to stress and better responses to stress and superior social skills. We have all seen this play out in our own life. If if you delay watching television and get your homework done, you will generally learn more and get better grades. If you don't buy desserts, if you don't buy desserts and chips at the store, you'll often eat healthier food when you get home. At some point, success in nearly every field requires you to ignore an immediate reward in favor of a delayed reward. Hmm. This is a very powerful passage, so I'm going to read it again. This is precisely what research has this is precisely what research has shown. People who are better at delaying gratification have higher SAT scores, lower levels of substance abuse, lower likelihood of obesity, better responses to stress, and superior social skills. We have all seen this play out in our own lives. If you delay watching television and get your homework done, you will generally learn more and get better grades. If you don't buy desserts. If you don't buy desserts and chips at the store, you'll often eat healthier food when you get home. At some point, success in nearly every field requires you to ignore an immediate reward in favor of a delayed reward. Here's the problem. Most people know that delaying gratification is the wise approach. They want the benefits of good habits to be healthy, productive, at peace. But these outcomes are seldom top of mind at the decisive moment. Thankfully, it's possible to train yourself to delay gratification, but you need to work with the grain of human nature, not against it. The best way to do this is to add a little bit of immediate pleasure to the habits that pay off the long run and a little bit of immediate pain to the ones that don't. Hmm. That's the bottom line. Well, everyone knows that success comes from hard work, doing work that is not fun, but most people are not ready to pay the price. So what's the cheat code to this? What's the simple way to this? Well, you can reward yourself for doing the good work and punish yourself for doing the bad work. That's the bottom line. I would argue that it's better to apply the principles from the earlier chapters than to start applying this one, because I don't know how you can work on reward and punishment yourself. Anyways, let's read it. How to turn instant gratification to your advantage. The vital thing in getting a habit to stick is to feel successful, even if it's in a small way. The feeling of success is a signal that your habit paid off and that the work was worth the effort. I think that's a very good idea. So when you do your work, feel good about it. Just feel good about it. Feel good about doing the work. Acknowledge it and congratulate yourself. In a perfect world, the reward for a good habit is the habit itself. In the real world, good habits tend to feel worthwhile only after they have provided you with something. Early on, it's all sacrifice. You have gone to the gym a few times, but you are not stronger or fitter or faster, at least not in any noticeable sense. It's only months later, once you have shed a few pounds or your arms gain some definition, then it becomes easier to exercise for its own sake. In the beginning, you need a reason to stay on track. This is why immediate rewards are essential. They keep you excited while the delayed rewards accumulate in the background. Hmm, interesting idea. Well, if you think about it, it's true. It's true. When you start a new endeavor, it's not fun at least in the beginning because you don't feel any good. For example, when I bought a piano for the first month, I was doubting myself if it was even a good decision. But after playing for a few months, I have built up my confidence and I can say that I can play fairly decently. You want the ending of your habit to be satisfying. The best approach is to use reinforcement, which refers to the process of using an immediate reward to increase the rate of a behavior. Habit stacking ties your habit to an immediate cue, which makes it obvious when to start. Reinforcement ties your habit to an immediate reward, which makes it satisfying when you finish. It is worth noting that it is important to select short-term rewards that reinforce your identity rather than ones that conflict with it. If your reward for exercising is eating a bowl of ice cream, then you are casting votes for conflicting identities, and it ends up being a wash. I think this is a very powerful idea. That's why I say that it's hard to reward yourself when most of the things that we associate with enjoyment are bad for us, right? For example, if you want to study but you reward yourself with social media or television, then I don't think that's a good reward because those things are conflicting. So the reward you have to find is something that doesn't affect the work you are putting in. And you'll have to do your research, and the reward might not be as interesting as you had hoped for it, but it's better than nothing, right? So that's the this is a good one. This is a good part. Eventually, eventually, as intrinsic, eventually as intrinsic rewards like a better mood, more energy, and reduced stress kick in, you will become less concerned with chasing the secondary reward. The identity itself becomes the reinforcer. You do it because it's who you are and it feels good to be you. The more a habit becomes a part of your life, the less you need outside the less you need outside encouragement to follow through. Incentives can start a habit, identity sustains it. So rewards are not a long-term solution. Again, rewards can make following a habit easier, but they are not a long-term solution. You will have to delay instant gratification in the long run and be happy with the internal feeling, not the external material rewards. That's it. That's sad. That's sad. That's sad. It takes time for the evidence to accumulate and a new identity to emerge. Immediate reinforcement helps maintain motivation in the short term while you are waiting for the long term rewards to arrive. In summary, in so, okay, so let's read the last part. In summary, a habit needs to be enjoyable for it to last. Simple bits of reinforcement like soap that smells great or toothpaste that has a refreshing mint flavor can offer the immediate pleasure you need to enjoy a habit, and change is easy when it is enjoyable. Change is easy when it's enjoyable. Yeah. I would say the idea from make it attractive to reframe your mind to like hard work, I think that's much more important than rewarding yourself. Anyways, let's read the summary. The fourth law of behavior change is make it satisfying. The human brain evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over delayed rewards. That's why 90% people fail in life because success is literally rewiring your brain. It's literally rewiring your brain. That's why the default state is not to work. That's why whenever we finish work, we want to just rest. The cardinal rule of behavior change: what is immediately rewarded is repeated, what is immediately punished is avoided. To get a habit to stick, you need to feel immediately successful, even if it's in a small way. The first three laws of behavior change: make it obvious, make it attractive, and make it easy. Increase the odds that a behavior will be performed this time. The fourth law of behavior change: make it satisfying, increases the odds that a behavior will be repeated next time. Exactly. And I think one very important idea to make habits is to make few good habits, not try to make 10 good habits, maybe two at a time. Only then you will be able to actually consistently perform the habit. You need to be consistent. Wow, we finished chapter 15. Then this is it for the video, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much for watching till the end.